Try not to eat it or crunch too loud. We're gonna start with a fortune cookie. There's strength in unity. It's backwards though. So cool. That makes sense. I think there's a lot of people fighting. There's a big divide. And people, it seems, like to fight before they like to work things out, or they jump into ego. What's the thought I was having this morning? No, I won't. I'm not going to go down that road. Maybe I'll save it for later. Yesterday, I was going to talk about meltdown with no cards. But I just sat and processed, and oddly enough, I mean, I put the thought out there. I was thinking, and then had 3 people reach out to me yesterday. It's kind of out of the blue. And nobody's really done that in a while, so that was cool. Thank you. You did. The vibes, right? The vibes are off. Okay, we'll insert initial thought here. If you're a woman and you are allowing a man, especially a man you don't know, or a man you are drawn to for charisma, or for their charisma, and you're allowing this man to come between you and other women, consider how low your vibrational frequency must be. We're in the Aquarian, man. We've shifted into this new age of unity. And if you're stuck in that old mentality of we're not going to get very far. No? We will. We, united, will. Individuals who want to hold on to ego and get into these battles. One thing I hear a lot, especially when confronting somebody who has said something that has upset me or has hurt me, it takes me a while to process things. I don't often say it in the moment. Sometimes it'll be a couple days, sometimes it'll be a couple months, sometimes it'll be a couple of years before I really fully processed what somebody has said that has bothered me. Typically I can just let it go, but if it's really bothering me and I'm processing it, right, then it's trying to tell me something. Kismet, don't bark at the neighbor dogs. The neighbor dog isn't doing anything to you. Kiss. I'm not gonna bark at the neighbor dogs, and we're not gonna put dirty dog butt on my pillets. Okay, we'll just let's take that as our sign to start diving into cards. If you're here and you show up, feel free to ask questions. Pardon me. Skinny person, gotta eat. I reached for this one first. Alice in Wonderland. So let's climb down the rabbit hole. I mean, climb out of the rabbit hole. That seems to resonate more, I think, for people, because I think people are definitely lost in this rabbit hole. You know, walking around, sliding around, running around in the darkness, trying to like feel your way through. You're not really certain what it is that you're touching. Maybe this is that elephant analogy story thing where there's, all these men who are touching the same elephant. One is touching the trunk, one is touching the tail, one is touching the tusk, one is touching the leg, right? And they're all describing what it is that they're feeling, and their descriptions are all very, very different. What they don't realize is that they are all touching the same thing. They're all describing the same thing. And so we're going to pull ourselves away from these limiting beliefs and shine some light on the things that people don't like to talk about. Cookies, fortune cookie, and solidification, because it feels like there's a lot of fluidity happening, which is okay. We almost need to be fluid, but there's nothing really to grab onto. And so people are trying to like hold on to something, and it's like slipping through your fingers. I don't know. So here, let's start here and let's do this. Okay. I'm gonna give you my heart. Gifting, giving, open-handed reception. Okay, giving, receiving. There's a I don't want to call it submissive. I don't want to call it there's unification, there's solidification, there's holding. You can't, but like holding without grasping, or holding without controlling, or holding without restricting or suffocating or limiting, right? This is openness. This is allowing the butterfly or the bird or whatever, the creature, to come along, rest on your hands, and then when it's ready to move along, it moves along. There's no trying to trap it. Okay? I'm trying to contain it. So we're solidifying ourselves so that we can become a safe space and a solid foundation for other people, other creatures, life, Mother Nature, so on and so forth. Okay, let's see here. All right, I like this. I think this is a good spot to start, because we are talking about walking around in darkness, or the things that are trying to be controlled, or unseen factors. And so when we pull the curtain, right, when we decide to look behind the facade, this is where we're going to find truth. Like in a stage, right, or if there's a play, there's, let's even call it 3 layers of this, or maybe like 3 dimensions of the projection or performance, where if you're watching, you're sitting in the audience, and there's this stage, there is a curtain, right, hiding the stage. And so you sit there wondering, you're like, ooh, I wonder what's there. I wonder what this is going to be. There's excitement building, there's anticipation, curiosity. It's generally a good feeling because you don't know what to expect. Then that first curtain, that first layer, pulls back. And then we are presented with the stage, and we're presented with the props, the performers, the costumes, the lighting, the sounds, the effects. And all of these are showcased in such a way to tell a story, to, let's say, influence or manipulate your feelings or your emotional body. And that's fine. And so, great, we watch this performance, we take it all in, and if we stay in this state of naivety, I almost wanted to call it awe or wonder, but naivety, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. We can begin to believe that what we are seeing is real. These are all effects, they're optical illusions, they're, but these ways of engaging with other people, like it's like psychological warfare or psychological puppeting, or so again, the influencing or the manipulation part of it. When we pull back the curtain and we look behind the performance and we look behind the stage, we go backstage, right? Then we realize that the performers and all the people out on stage aren't really who they're presenting themselves as. They're their own individuals, they're their own persons. There's the either order, organization, or disorganization of the physical space, the makeuping. There's so much more going on behind there. I want to even call it like the rehearsal space. But people often don't want to look backstage. This could almost go the other way too, where if you are anticipating something, or if you want to showcase something, or if you want to present a story, there's the anxiety of wondering who the audience is. So this might be taking a peek and trying to figure out who your audience is before you put on the show, literally or figuratively. But if you're trying to communicate something or convey something or convey a story, you have to be very mindful of who that audience is, and perhaps adjust accordingly. But like with any play or performance, when it's live, it's never the same every time. There's always a difference. There's always a variation. There's a energetic frequency thing that is happening, and it's a synergetic relationship that again could go one of two ways, where one side is either vibrationally, energetically lowered, and the other is elevated. Strength comes out. Strength and Page of Flamingos. This, I guess they're all kind of sticking together. Strength in your unicorn lionness. Lion came up, I think maybe as a theme the last two readings, and then our unicorn is here too. And the unicorn appears, I think it even showed up in the last one as well. Strength to overcome. If I don't know, if I decide to go into it, maybe I'll look for the card. But there's a card in one of the decks that I have where it's the you can look back at in the last reading, I think, for this one. But there's the unicorn that's been stabbed in the leg, right? And then there's blood everywhere. And so this is overcoming adversity and overcoming the difficulties when truths are exposed. But it's going to take a lot of strength, and it's going to take a lot of work to uncover all of these layers. And even within your own psyche, there's all these different layers. There's that self that we present to the world, and there's our conscious self that we kind of keep to ourselves, maybe that private self. And then there's that subconscious or unconscious self that oftentimes we can't see and rely on other people to mirror back for us. Page of Flamingos and Ace of Peppermills. But the Ace is upside down. like I almost get the feeling that you're worried or have all this anxiety because it feels like all this hard work and all of this effort is for naught. Almost not recognizing the powers that are inherent or given within this. I want to pull a fifth card before I dive into the book, or the booklet. But maybe even before we go there, I do have the flow again and touching peace again. Okay, we alluded to the flow, talking about solidification and things coming together. So let's start there, and then we'll our aim, our goal is peace, harmony, unification. Okay. So let's see. If we're talking about flow and pulling all of these pieces together, that flow is really important. Yes, but at some point or another, you have to decide. You have to commit. This is about commitment and what you're committing yourself to. What do you also need to let go of? Who do you need to let go of? Think of a stopping point. I open up to page 103. I'll read you the underlined aspect of it, but the paragraph halfway through is the ultimate control, yoga and the martial arts. And to speak to those two things, yoga saved my life in a lot of ways, Kundalini. But what nobody prepared me for in my 2 years of pretty consistent practice of Kundalini is just how awakening it can be, or just how it can be for this Kundalini for an extended period of time. You know what I'm talking about. In the martial arts, I had an acquaintance, I suppose, reach out to me years and years ago when I was living at the Wildflower Village. That no longer exists. This is like before grad school, just before going into grad school. I went into grad school for transformative leadership through the California Institute of Integral Studies. So in preparing myself for this, ironically enough, this person reaches out to me, and I don't remember what I had done initially, but he had done my numerology. He was like, I need to talk to you. He's a martial arts instructor. There's been twice in my life, or maybe in like this period or this chapter of my life, where I've had a martial arts instructor reach out to me. I don't practice martial arts, though I really want to. But this guy reaches out to me because he said, you got 5 5s in your chart. I'm like, oh my gosh. And apparently something I would be very good at. I love being in my body, so I feel like, cool. I'm happy to open up to this page right now, because I think this is giving tools to build strength and tools to build confidence, because there's a lack of confidence or an uncertainty that's here. You can, funny, these both are very yellow at the top. I mean, the colors, the imagery, the composition is very, very similar, you know, and it takes a lot of hard work to look behind that curtain. And when we're talking about the color yellow, we're addressing the solar plexus, identity, ego, self, who we think we are in this body. The green is the heart chakra, right? So, the heart chakra, the love, the compassion, the like, let me rip it out of my chest and just hand it over to you. This is that solid ground from which we can build on, and when we have that love, that compassion, that peace, and that unity, and that unification, then we can really explore ourselves. We can build ourselves up. And there's the blue in here too, right? Blue being the throat chakra and the communication. She's wearing that as well. And so the ways that we communicate who we are is based very much on the relationship dynamic with energetic dynamic in the heart chakra and the solar plexus. There's frequency evaluation here. This is a space where we can make adjustments and elevate and rise our frequency, elevate our frequency. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. How to keep love fresh? Page 103. The answer is the same as it is for any other activity. To be enjoyable, a relationship must become more complex. To become more complex, the partners must discover new potentialities in themselves and in each other. To discover these, they must invest attention in each other so that they can learn what thoughts and feelings, what dreams reside in their partner's mind. This in itself is a never-ending process, a lifetime's task. Something there about commitment, authenticity, unification, bringing things together. After one begins to really know another person, then many joint adventures become possible. Traveling together, reading the same books, raising children, making and realizing plans all become more enjoyable and more meaningful. The specific details are unimportant. Each person must find out which ones are relevant to his or her own situation. What is important is the general principle that sexuality, like any other aspect of life, can be made enjoyable if we are willing to take control of it and cultivate it in the direction of greater complexity. I've been putting a lot of thought and energy into this year's Art in the Sex Scene. April is recognized as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Washoe County because of my master's capstone project. And so every year for this is the 11th year now, about this time, I begin to put my energy and efforts into that initiative for April. I've been thinking a lot about that in the last couple of days. And what I need to do after this is update my fundraiser. This isn't really the space to talk about it. But note to self, complexities, because it's not simple. And I suppose the theme that has come up in one of my private conversations is sex and love are not synonymous. Love does not equate to sex, and sex does not equate to love. Those are two very different things. Sex is not a language. Sex is a primary reinforcer that is driving and motivating behavior, like food. Sex and food are the two main primary reinforcers that control behavior. So when we're talking about love or love languages or different ways that people unify or connect with each other, we're speaking about frequencies and concepts and things that are very complex. Again, this gets into that relationship dynamic, but not like how we relate to words is what I'm getting at here. So like picture a cat in your head. I can guarantee you the cat you have pictured in your head is different than the cat that I have pictured in my head, but we can all agree on what a cat is. Just kind of in a nutshell, the ultimate control, if we're talking about control, yoga and martial arts, these are tools that help us control ourselves and our own behavior, our own affects, not tools to control or manipulate other people. We live in a society where tactics have been used to control people, to control populations, dismissing the opportunities for persons, leaders, systems, societies, dynamics to control themselves or learn how to control the energetic frequency dynamics within self, others, that sort of thing. Because martial arts is absolutely a defense tool, because there are, unfortunately, people who aim to attack and destroy and do the complete opposite of unification. Divisive tactics are very powerful in politics. Okay, we'll just go into it because there's no. In many respects, what the West has accomplished in terms of harnessing material energy is matched by what India and the Far East have achieved in terms of direct control of consciousness. Yes, we're talking about controlling consciousness, our own consciousness, instead of projecting all these ideologies and beliefs onto other people, or trying to control the narrative about other people, or controlling other people's lives for gain and personal gain. I'm not talking about that. We're learning how to control or take control of our own consciousness to solidify our true sense of self. I mean, that's what our bodies are. We are a complex system of energetic particles fused together into a whole, right? Like, I'm a solid body. Like, you know, you can poke me and you're not gonna like go right through me. There's a barrier, there's a boundary, there's something that is solid and tangible and very real. Consciousness solidified as itself, or whatever that saying is. Each of us is consciousness itself expressing itself as an individual person. So when it comes to consciousness, we are all solidified variations of that consciousness, right? All right. Queen of Peppermills, Ace of Peppermills. This part caught my eye. The perfect society would be able to strike a healthy balance between the spiritual and material worlds. But short of aiming for perfection, we can look towards Eastern religions for guidance in how to achieve control over consciousness. They mentioned Hatha yoga. It's one of the oldest. Yoga means yoking, referring to the method of goal of joining the individual with God. Unification, yoking. First by uniting the various parts of the body with one another, then making the body as a whole work together with consciousness as part of an ordered system. To achieve this aim, the basic text of yoga prescribes 8 stages of increasing skills. The first 2 stages of ethical preparation. Ethical preparation. Let me make a note, because preparation came out a couple days ago in terms of preparing. We've been talking a lot about preparation, or implying a lot about that. Well, what are we preparing for? Let's just say big changes. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the specific. I don't wanna give people the wrong impression. Let's see. Ethical preparation are intended to change a person's attitude, so we're working on changing attitudes. We might say that they involve the straightening out of consciousness, the aligning, right? We're aligning ourselves. We've been talking a lot about that. They attempt to reduce psychic entropy as much as possible before the actual attempts at mental control begin. In practice, the first step, yama, requires that one achieve restraint from acts and thoughts that might harm others, like falsehood, falsehood, theft, lust, and avarice. You must restrain yourself from harming other people. If people are harming other people, we could assume that their consciousness is not aligned with higher purpose. So if you know somebody and they are consciously harming another person to try and make themselves feel better, that's not elevating their vibration, that's lowering their vibration. If you're engaging in that dynamic and you're participating in that and your vibrational frequency is lowering down here too, then you're perpetuating toxic cycles and systems. You could, in these situations, call out shitty behavior. You could tell somebody, hey, you are intentionally harming another person. That's not okay. That's a boundary. I am not going to put myself in a situation where my vibrational frequency is going to be lowered. If you want to have a relationship dynamic with me, friendship, work, whatever, there is a standard of excellence to meet, and that baseline level standard of excellence involves not harming people intentionally out of things like falsehood, lying about them, theft, stealing from them, taking things, undermining their success, lust, right? Having to make all of this about sex and that sexual gratification. It's one of the top primary human motivators is sex. That's what is driving behavior. Like, are you an animal? This is why we have other species who can be very rapey as well. Dolphins, ducks. It can be a very violent and aggressive act, not only between people, but between other animals. I have 2 desert tortoises. And every year it's the same thing. He comes along and like bullies her, basically. Bumps into her, bumps her shell, does everything he can to like get her to stop and bites at her, snaps at her. Right? There was one year, I don't know, it was pretty young, I don't know, 11, 12 or something like that. We've had these guys since I was 8, so for almost 30 years they've been in my life. It's amazing. They're almost, 80 now? 80-year-olds. But there was one year where Rocky was trying to mate with Fluffy, and he was snapping at her, and she didn't want it, and he started like biting at her arms. And these guys are pretty solid. I mean, they're like, talk about armor. And he was biting her so much and so hard, he was making her bleed. I was like, whoa. Anyway, right? We're like, let's jump into humans here. One of the things I was thinking about this morning, or the experiences I was thinking about this morning, was going on this date with this guy just a few years ago, a while ago. Going on this date with this guy that was incredibly romantic. One of the martial artists, the second martial arts instructor. So these things can be misused. I just want to say that, like in the realm of martial arts, yoga, when we're talking about gurus, these tools can absolutely be misused. Anyway, we go on this date. It was so romantic and so beautiful. I mean, nobody's ever done anything like this for me before, ever. And he gets this tent, and we go to his favorite spot, like favorite camp spot along the river, and brings this blow-up mattress, and it's all flustered because he doesn't have the right size batteries, and ends up like trying to hamp him or whatever. Like, okay, so like no blow-up mattress, that didn't work. He was pretty embarrassed. but it was fine, no judgment. I mean, not a big deal. And maybe TMI, but in the midst of us being intimate with each other, he tells me that sometimes, or before, he's been a bit rapey with other women. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, you're telling me in the midst of this? And of course, like, I dissociate, whatever, and I just kind of dismiss it and, I put it in the processing bank. It's just whatever. But I always think that in the back of my mind of like, this guy is admitting to me that he's been rapey with a woman. This is like not okay at all. At all. But this is a norm. And this is this like low vibrational level that people are existing at in this realm of conflict, war, and battle, and allowing things to get in between them. And it's just ridiculous. Not to say that, he did anything that harmed me. He didn't. Beautiful man, beautiful person, working through his own levels of traumas and whatever, we'll do this one again. We'll just extend love and peace and wish the best and hope the best for all. And the things some people say sometimes. Okay, let's get back into these stages. This might take a little bit, but I think this is really important. Okay, the second step. That's the first step. The first step, again, ethical preparation, preparing yourself ethically. If we're talking about consciousness, you need to be ethical and you need to prepare yourself for that, because these instincts, these sexual or hunger instincts, are going to kick in. And if you're not conscious, or if you're not ethical, or you're not prepared, you're gonna make poor decisions that are gonna harm people, or it's just gonna negatively impact you, or just the complexity of it all. So the next two stages involve physical preparation, or development of habits that will enable the practitioner to overcome the demands of the senses and make it possible for him to concentrate without growing tired or distracted. This is discipline, self-discipline. This is accountability, being accountable for yourself and being accountable for your actions. Second step, niyama, involves obedience, right? Or the following of ordered routines in cleanliness, study, and obedience to God. Let's call it higher purpose, source, collective consciousness, right? That thing that we can't quite put our finger on because it's so far beyond us, right? We got to call it something. All of which help to channel attention into predictable patterns and hence make attention easier to control. So this is self-discipline, creating good habits where you're integrating all those ethics that you have prepared yourself for, right? Like if you set ethical standards for yourself and you don't obey or adhere to that, what are you doing? It's called hypocrisy. The third stage consists in practicing various asana, ways of sitting, or holding postures for long periods without succumbing to strain or fatigue. So we're talking about resilience. This takes practice. So that was one of my, or is one of my favorite things about Kundalini. You have to sit here or there in these poses with whatever specific mudras, with whatever specific chants for extended periods of time. Some of these upwards of 30 or more minutes. And for 30 minutes, if you're doing the same breath routine, the same mantra, the same mudra, it's an experiential thing, and it's intense and it's powerful and it's phenomenal, and it's just such an amazing experience. We're being able to sit in discomfort for a very long time. I've been a nude model, life drawing model since I was 19, for almost 20 years now. In those situations, you have to sit in uncomfortable poses again for upwards of 25 minutes, usually is where it's capped. And it's difficult and it's uncomfortable, but you surpass the body and you get into these mental states, into this space with your consciousness, where you develop the tools or the capacity to be able to control that, so that other people aren't controlling that for you. Or other things aren't controlling that for you too. The fourth stage is pranayama, or breath control. Okay, so this is prepare yourself ethically. Discipline your mind to be able to sit through the difficult things. Discipline your body to sit through the difficult things. And control your breath. Having control of the breath is so powerful. When you can change consciously your breathing, you can shift your emotional or visceral affect. This is why we breathe typically at the end of these. Maybe going into this, we can experiment, or as we go forward, we can experiment with breathing differently, or breathing at the beginning and out. Just to make you more receptive when you come into this space, or to sync us, or to unify us all at the beginning of it all. Maybe. I'm inverted. I have a tendency to do things backwards. I start with the last step, and then I figure out eventually what the first step is. And then shorter in breath, longer out breath is going to relax you. You want to sync up and align the body and the mind. Use the breath as that vehicle to, or the glue kind of that syncs them up or aligns in the spirit. Breath. It's spirit, that's life force, that's air, that's the thing that we all share and have all shared since the beginning of time. Those oxygen particles aren't created and destroyed, they're recycled into the system one way or another, reconstituted, transformed. Stabilizing the rhythm of breathing. Okay. The fifth stage, the hinge between preparatory exercises and the practice of yoga proper, is called pratyahara, or withdrawal. It involves learning to withdraw attention from outward objects by directing the input of the senses, thus becoming able to see, hear, and feel only what one wishes to admit into awareness. It's your filter, right? Already at this stage, we see how close the goal of yoga is to that of the flow activities described in this volume. If you want to get into a state of flow, or into a flow state, here's your guide. So I think this is probably one of the more difficult things to do. This is learning how not to react, but respond to external triggers. This is that person who comes along and is like trying to get you to erupt or blow or lower your vibrational frequency. So that withdrawal of attention is learning how to put on the blinders or extinguish the yeah, this is all for achieving control over what happens in the mind. This is controlling consciousness. This isn't like tips and tricks on how to control other people to get what you want. Right? We don't do manipulation here. Okay, we learn how to consciously be in control of ourselves so that we can show up better in the world, right? Like be the change you want to see in the world. Stop perpetuating conflict. Find a way to elevate and bring peace. We all want it and we all need it. So do it. Be it, because nobody's going to come along and be able to do that for you. Okay, nobody can do this work for you. It's experiential. This goes into, although the remaining 3 stages do not properly belong to the present chapter, they involve the control of consciousness through purely mental operations rather than physical techniques. We shall discuss them here for the sake of continuity, and also because these mental practices are, after all, solidly, there's that word, solidification, solidly, based on the earlier physical ones. So solidification, this is that fight, that is that integrative point, that is that point between the material and the spiritual and how it comes together. I mean, even in the solar plexus, this is where everything meets in the middle, right? And then solidifies into an identity. Dharana, or holding on, is the ability to concentrate for long periods of time on a single stimulus, and thus is the mirror image of the earlier stage of pratyahara. First one learns to keep things out of the mind, then one learns to keep them in. So you've got to cut out all of the distractions, cut out all of the monkey chatter, and learn how to focus the mind so that you can engage in something. And I think there's I don't know exactly what, somewhere in the realm of psychology research, it's been shown that people can attend to a creative task for up to 4 hours at a time, or within like 4-hour windows, before there's just something within the biology that's just like, go eat food, go drink water, go sleep. You know, you gotta meet those basic needs. But to be able to focus on a creative task, when we can get into this flow state and we can be engaged with something, whether it be a book, a drawing, a painting, the art piece, the music, right? We're inherently built to be able to sustain ourselves with one single focus for extended periods of time. And the environment's got to be right for it, the mind's got to be right for it, otherwise it's difficult and it doesn't happen. But it's one of the greatest feelings in the world that I've ever felt, is being able to sit down with the piece and then having a 4-hour block of just like, I love it. I don't get those opportunities very often anymore. I haven't been able to create those opportunities for myself in a while. So we're slowly stepping back into that. Intense meditation, or dhyana, is the next step. Here one learns to forget the self in uninterrupted concentration that no longer needs the external stimuli of the preceding phase. Finally, the mediator and the object of meditation become as one. Those who have achieved it describe samadhi as the most joyful experience in their lives. So if you want to get to this point of unification and samadhi, right, where everything is self-collectedness, that's the last stage, self-collectedness, or everything is all one. It's such a beautiful space to be in. It is. I mean, it really is the most joyful experience in our lives, no matter how much difficulty or trauma or whatever that you've gone through. When you can consciously get yourself to this state through these flow practices, here's the steps, step by step. That's where you will find your joy and your peace. You're not going to find your joy in the material things. You're not going to find your joy in a relationship with another person. That joy is a relationship with yourself. It's self-collectedness. It's a unification between mind, body, spirit, spirit, mind, body, all it. But it takes practice. It takes discipline. It doesn't just happen. It's a visceral thing. You can feel it. Yoga and flow are very, very similar. Yoga is a flow activity, but it's not the only one. That's fine. I don't think we really need to complicate that. I mean, it does become more complex outside of that, but no, that's fine. Let's set this one aside. There's a lot that we can read into there. There's a lot that we can go into there. If you want guidance in getting into flow state, if you want support in that, I mean, you can reach out to me for that too. That'd be awesome. I put the Queen of Peppermills back in there. I'm gonna look at the Ace of Peppermills and I'm gonna look at the Queen of Peppermills and kind of figure out what it is we're trying to get through. We got Peppermills here too. And again, we're working on solidifying consciousness. That seems that feels pretty right. Peppermills. The suit of Peppermills corresponds to the suit of Wands or Clubs. Has the themes of good intentions and good friends. Also the suit of battle against very long odds and very heavy burdens. It's not necessarily a suit of violence. But we're trying to solidify things because things have been really heavy and there's been a lot of burdens and things are really difficult. And when those kind of things are happening consciously, we tend to dissociate, distract, dismiss, disconnect. The opposite of unification, the opposite of holding space, right? We release and we don't hold on and we have no attachment or even accountability to anything. So that gets to be challenging, right? When it comes to getting into things like flow states. So the Ace of Peppermills, the things that are, I guess, preventing you or blocking you from strength, something that may be a fear base, right? That's keeping you from either stepping out from behind the curtain or exploring further what's hidden. This way, we're talking about ruination, a senseless delay or cancellation before beginning, anger, unfulfilled dream, decadence, and meaningless existence. This is going to that lower vibrational frequency thing, like why anybody would allow anybody else to come between them to create chaos and conflict is beyond me. At the beginning of this, I emphasize the feminine and the masculine because we've been in a patriarchy for so long, this masculine age for so long, that it really makes me sad to see women divided and separated and fighting and getting into conflict over some man, especially some man that they don't know, or over something like that. Like it upsets me. Women, our nature is unification, is family, is nurturing, is bonding, is being in tribes and being equal and sharing in this spiderweb thing. And so when women become more masculine or in alignment with, say, this patriarchal system, and they're not in their femininity, and they're coming from this space of rage and anger from, centuries of oppression, the bad guy's winning. You're letting the bad guy win. And it's like the Hunger Games. There's somebody who's trying to triangulate or get you to fight each other so that you don't come together to fix or change or bring down a toxic system. That makes sense. Okay, so Queen of Peppermills. When you're going through a lot, and if you're going to go through a lot, you have to have the discipline and the discernment to be able to know where to draw the line so that something can be solid. This is something that took me a really long time to figure out. I was told because I have a Pisces moon, it makes me very susceptible and spongy to other people's emotions and moods and affects, and I can absorb them and feel them as if they are my own, and it gets really confusing. It's part of why I got into this work and why I draw the biofield and interpret the biofield, because it gives me the tools to be able to discern what's mine and what somebody else's. And after having done, I don't know, at least 1,000 of these over the last few years, I've done so many of them. That might be an exaggeration, but like hundreds and hundreds. I've done so many of these. I haven't missed yet. I haven't. So I've learned to trust my feelings, my intuition, my intellect, all of that, to be able to become really solid in myself consciously. So it can be done, but it takes practice. And it takes a lot of those things that we were just talking about, especially the ethical part. When I pulled her, she came up reversed, so I'm just going to read it reversed. I stuck her back in the deck. Reverse is jealous, overly emotional, an unstable and fickle liar of a mean streak, and opposition. So it's very real still in the way things are, that people would try to bring that frequency down. We are collectively working on raising that and elevating that, right? But there becomes a tug of war between control. Those who have been in control, or who have had control, or are used to being in control of other people, aren't quick to let go of that control, and they don't want you to be in control of yourself. If you're in control of yourself, then they can't call you crazy, you know? But if they can get people to look at you in an unsolid or an unstable way, it gives them a false sense of control or power. And then that's what our system has been built on. And it's not working. It's not working out for everyone. Maybe for a very, very select few, right? For that like 1%, or for like that one person who gets to be the king of the mountain, or has to be on top, or has to win everything. Like, live and let live, dude. Ma'am. Sir. Miss. The opposite side of that is the capability for love and affection. So again, like the flow had showed us, if you're holding on to any of these negative attitudes that have to do with like lust, envy, avarice, any of that, jealousy fits into there, you're not there yet. You have to work through, release, alchemize those emotions. You got to do the work. You have to be able to sit with yourself for extended periods of time in order to create something new. She's got a mouse and a ball of yarn, and it's like she's just now beginning this. And if you can focus on that, and this is 10 cups, this is wholesomeness, this is partial detachment and alignment. But she's doing the internal work and working on the self and taking self accountability, right? Consciousness of self. Okay, I'll redo the inverse of the page of flamingos too, because again, this directly relates to what we were just talking about in the flow. So if we're looking at this guy here, the evil side of these qualities, so seeing beyond the surface, a spy, vigilance, respect for authority, a person who will complete a task regardless of danger, insight. The opposite of that, discretion, right? So the opposite of that, the evil side of these qualities, when you don't have the discretion, when you don't have the discernment, when you're not doing the work, right? When you're not in that flow state, when you're not aligned, an unexpected illness, lack of preparation. And they're talking about ethical preparation in this flow state. And so lack of preparation to me implies that there's a lack of ethics, or you're lacking ethics, or they're lacking ethics. A powerless person lacks ethics and has a false sense of control. That false sense of control and that manipulation is not true power. You might feel powerful. You might feel, or may socially have power over another person, but that gives you absolutely no right, no authority to harm another person. And somebody, if you're, I don't know, you know yourself deep down. That's fine. I don't have to tell you. You know if you're being ethical or not. Because if you're intentionally harm somebody to try to make yourself feel better, you're not prepared. You're not prepared for what is going to come. What is going to come? Division, divisiveness, separation, and also justice. This turns into those that are ethically prepared are on one side of the road, and those who are intentionally harming other people on the other side of the road. This side of the road, not a whole lot of people. This side of the road, a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people are going to choose evil over good. But those who chose good over evil are the ones that are crowned. They're the ones that win. They're the ones that are in spiritual alignment, that are connected to source. That's where the justice comes into play. I think it's going to be very clear, very evident here real soon, just who's who. I don't want to say you have to choose sides or pick sides. Rather, you have to be ethically prepared for what's coming, so that when faced with something unethical, you can be in a just space that helps to elevate the collective and gets us to a point of evolution where we are luminous bodies and have control of our consciousness, so much so the point where we can heal ourselves consciously, where we're no longer dependent on a material world or whatever, or dependent on the medical care system as it exists today to heal us and to fix us, especially within the American healthcare system. It is not founded on the ethics of healing people and making people feel better. It's founded on a materialistic, capitalistic, exploitative system that profits off of people being sick or injured or ill. And so if somebody is harming you and it's making you sick and they're gaining power or accolades or something, this is a very, very good time to go within, to do the work, to start exploring through that flow process and through all those 8 stages, how to liberate yourself to get to this point where you feel joy despite all the other bullshit. Anything else here? No. Let's go into the next deck. Maybe pull a couple more cards. Again, if you have questions, ask. I'm kind of watching the comments, but I don't know that I can really see everybody who comes in and out. From listening to things, it typically shows me like one person watching and then maybe like 1 or 2 people down in the comments, but then as soon as I get off, it's like, 60, 80 people are watching at the same time. So, and I'm assuming people kind of pop in for a moment and they check in and they check out, or they take whatever they need, and people are on a timeline and they're doing things and whatever. It is what it is. Let's pull up the Oracle. Oh, and then we'll go into pieces. We go into the Oracle here. We're still in Alice in Wonderland. Where did the piece book go? Where did I put it? What keeps happening? Like in the last week. Is this because it has the fairies out? There's just like a things aren't where I put them. Like they keep getting moved or like disappearing. Right on top as I'm opening the book. You can't go back to yesterday, be in the present. There's no use in what is the word? Ruminating, right? It doesn't really matter, like the story of the date and the tent. It's not so much about what happened in the past, it's more about being in the present moment. Learning from that. But I don't know, when it comes to regret, whatever, mistakes, there's no sense in beating yourself up over ignorance or not knowing better, or not having the tools or the teachers to be able to know how to be ethically prepared. This is why we learn through experience, or we learn in phases or stages. Think, consider the Saturn return cycles, how it relates to things like natal charts, personality profiling. There are a lot of tools and there are a lot of mirrors to be able to give us subjective feedback about where we are in present time. Be careful reaching out to people who may not have your best interests at heart, or who may or may not be jealous. They're the ones that can lead you astray, and they're not going to give you an objective or truthful feedback. That's why I think it's really important to look at these psychological tools and these tools in psychology that have been built to give you an objective standard to kind of discern where you're at in present time and who you are. 20. Keep your temper. Anger popped up in that flow book too. This is okay. So here's an opportunity to talk about anger. Keep your temper. Don't allow anger to rule you. Solid. Okay. Grounded, solid, self-secure. I got to this point through years of meditating and doing work on confidence and trying to be more confident, regaining confidence and being confident, being self-secure, secure in self. And there are a lot of things that I have done to gain that. And there was one thing that I had done that did not help at all and did the exact opposite. And I had gone to this hypnotherapist for help with confidence, and I initially had seen this person as a friend or somebody that I had wanted to connect with. And she puts on that facade or puts on that show and is like, here, let me pull the curtain and come onto my stage. But I couldn't see behind the other door, like I didn't know it was behind the other room. And I made it into the first room. And there was a second room, but there was another door into a third room or into a third space. I didn't get beyond that. She wouldn't let me beyond that. We were, I want to say, stuck or locked into or put into the middle space, and it was very dark. Not like metaphorically dark, but that maybe too, but like physically dark. Noticeably so, where like even now I'm just like, this space is obviously designed with a certain outcome in mind. And we go through the initial evaluation process. Okay, fine. Or she just says a couple of things there that didn't really click with me, but she, in her evaluation, says to me, you just seem angry. So here, let me walk you through this hypnotherapy session. And that's when like the spidey senses started tingling, and I was like, that doesn't really feel true. but okay, I don't trust this person, but I did. Well, because I was curious and I wanted to like see what was behind the curtain, and so I looked. We get in the chair, and then she puts on the headphones, and she goes to her computer, whatever, and then the idea behind it, sit in your relaxed space. She's got these headphones on you, and then she talks to you through these things, and she's walking me down this path where everything around me is just burned to the ground, and instantly I was like, get me the fuck out of here. I'm terrified. I'm scared. I don't want to be here. This is not okay. This is not safe. But I was trapped, right? I was just not consciously strong enough or confident enough to be able to stand up for myself in that situation, and she knew that. And so she walks me down this dark path of hell and just destruction, and I came out of there feeling so gross and awful and horrible and just not myself at all. And the way that I felt for days and whatever months after that was awful. It was terrible. I mean, it just made me ill. I'm just going to take this moment to say that as a therapist myself, that is very unethical to intentionally piss somebody off and bring somebody to anger. Anger is not a primary emotion, it's a secondary emotion. There's this really popular saying out there that is, I asked my anger its true name, and it told me it was grief. I wasn't angry. I'm not unconfident because I'm angry. My lack of confidence was due to the amount of grief that I was feeling. And that situation deepened that grief even more. And, she sends you home with, the recording of the thing, of the whatever that she did, and she instructs you, when you go home, listen to this several more times. And she says to me upon walking out of her space, we're on her doorstep, and I'm getting ready to leave, and she says to me, and this is that legal disclosure that removes any accountability or any liability from her and puts all of the onus and impetus on me. Her dad's a lawyer. And I picked up on that pretty quick. I don't recommend this woman. I would never recommend this woman at all. If you're curious to know, you can DM me and I'll let you know who it is. But she says to me afterwards that I will be mad at her and also at my ex. I was like, what? What do you mean? And then fast forward a month or so. Turns out she and my ex had worked together or were working together to put in a proposal for the Lear Theater, at the same time that I was putting in a proposal for the Lear. And a lot of the concepts and a lot of the ideas that they were submitting for this proposal were my concepts, were my ideas. That's my work. And it's not the first time that somebody has taken my work and my concepts out from underneath me and has used them instead without giving me any credit. That's happened a number of times in professional situations. And I mean, even still, kind of in this space, there are ideas or concepts that I'll introduce or specific words that I'll use. And I notice there's like a coach, or there's another guy does like work within the community or whatever. They adapt and they change their jargon to include the words that I'm using, but they never use those words until after I've used them in this place, and I've always found that very odd, but I've never given credit. And usually at that point they shut me down or shut me out, which I always find very interesting as well. You know, or they'll take my ideas and concepts and they'll try to sell it back to me. And so at that point I realized, oh, I see why you pissed me off. You're right. You're absolutely right. I would be mad at you and I would be mad at him. You're going behind my back in an unethical way to intentionally harm me. Picked up on that. It took me three shamanic reboots with my shamanic teacher after that to be able to feel like myself again. It took some other work too, just in terms of like therapy. More spiritual work to be able to get through that and to overcome that. And it's such a deep level of betrayal that when we're talking about this keep your temper, don't allow anger to rule you, in being conscious of that anger being intentionally programmed into me in an attempt to undermine my success and my joy. In recognizing that or having the conscious awareness of that, it was much easier to be in control or to have control of my conscious state and conscious affect, and to be able to take the necessary steps in order to find joy in my life and to find balance. And I've discovered many tools that have helped with that. So thanks for that. You pissed me off, but I mean, the path that you led me on, that crossroads that it's taking me to, I feel like I could have definitely gotten to this point a lot faster. But again, that's an example of me giving my power away, and not being confident, and not taking control of consciousness, and putting that power into the hands of others. And in that state, there's no solidification. There's nothing solid there. That's how you lose yourself. So you get lost. And so in finding myself again, finding myself in this creative process, yes, absolutely keep your temper. Because there are people who are going to come along and they're going to try and piss you off. They're going to try and make you mad. And when we get to these states of anger, we have a very emotionally immature society with a lot of ignorant people that don't understand all of this. And they perceive anger to be something that's bad, especially within women. You know, an angry woman is something that is very despised within our culture. And that's unfortunate, because women have a lot to be mad at. But women aren't expressing their anger at what is intentionally trying to piss them off, right? They're succumbing to that path of darkness, and they're fighting each other, and they're destroying each other instead of working together. And that needs to stop. It is imperative at this point, at this stage, that the feminine energy learn how to control that anger in an effective way, in a productive way. Because this isn't saying not to be mad and don't be angry. This is keep your temper. That means all of that energy, all of that rage, that anger, that's energy. That's a frequency. That's energy that if you put inside of you and you channel it into something creative and productive, like that 4-hour whatever window of focus, we can achieve a lot, and we can get a lot done. That's holding your power. That's keeping your power, not giving your power away. When you don't keep your temper and you lose your temper, you lose your power. You give your power away. anger that rules you, that's that power, right? That is controlling you. It's giving your power over to somebody else or to something else and allowing that person to have control over you. And as somebody who is a maternal only child who spent the majority of her youth and adolescence alone by myself, it is really difficult for me to let somebody come in and tell me what to do and tell me how to live my life and tell me who I am and how I should be. I know myself pretty damn well. Just saying. I've gotten really good at this. Really, really good at this. And the funny thing about the psychotherapist too is that after all of that, I didn't hear from her for years. And was it last year? Maybe the year before or something like that. I see her at an event where I'm, working a table, and she comes up with her kid, and I've got my dog, and she does that thing where she approaches me like, "Hey, how's it going? Nothing's wrong. Everything's good." I hate when people do that. I hate it. Like, bitch, you pissed me off. You've done something to harm me, and you're approaching me like everything's all good. Interesting. And then she does this thing where she puts her baby kind of like right up in front of my dog. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, my dog's really good with babies and kids because I got one. But if my dog were to have done anything, I would have been in trouble. Like, bitch, why are you at my table? Why are you here? I was nice, I was kind, I didn't express my anger. I'm not going to give her that power. It's respectful. I can do that. And then was also very dismissive. Bye. Keep moving. Keep walking. I felt like she could pick up on that. People. We could have been really good friends, I think. I think with her skills and knowledge, and with my skills and knowledge, we could have worked together. We could have come together and could have done something pretty amazing and pretty phenomenal for the community. I really do. I believe that. I think there's so much we could have done in performance art. There's so much that we could have done in volunteer work and advocacy that could have built a really strong, solid community. But this is one of those situations where some dude got between us. Like, ladies, can you stop letting men come between our friendships and between our relationships, please? Please? Can we stop giving our power away? Can we learn how to work together and learn how to get along so that we can combine our skill sets to nurture, nourish, mother, help, heal other people instead of destroying each other and tearing each other down, trying to win the affections of some man? Please? 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 Please, 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 please. I'm just so tired of jealous women. such energy drainers, energy thieves. I'm tired of jealous men too. I'm tired of jealousy in relationships. I'm tired of trying to be controlled and told what I can and can't do. I'm tired of being told that I'm this kind of person, or I know, because that's the narrative and box people want to put me in order to uphold their belief systems. I have tons of examples of this all throughout my life. Don't allow anger to rule you. You can be angry, sure. Anger is a very powerful energy, and if we're angry about something, there's probably a reason. But we can channel that anger into something that's productive and creative and helpful instead of something that's destructive. Come back, the caterpillar called after her. I have something important to say. This sounded promising, certainly. Alice turned and came back again. Keep your temper, said the caterpillar. Is that all? Said Alice, swallowing down her anger as well as she could. Go ahead and read through all of this. I think I might wrap it up. I might close out this space. I have a lot of work I gotta catch up on. All the things I need to do. I'm just rambling. Not rambling, but it's fine. When Alice is confronted by so much strangeness, so much that is unlike what she is used to, and even her own self is changing this way and that, she finds herself running very short of patience. Patience pays. Wait. Good things will come. Consolidate. Concentrate. Just be you. This keeps coming up over and over and over. Yes, I got that out of Kundalini Yoga years and years ago. Patience. Concentration. Be authentic. Focus, people. Focus. Okay? Indeed, she starts to become angry. When we are thrown this way and that by life, uncertain of what will happen next, and there are no straight answers to our questions, our tempers can begin to fray about the edges. We may become irritable, short, and less patient than we would be when all is familiar and comfortable. The caterpillar's advice to Alice is very good counsel indeed. For Alice to make her way through Wonderland, and for any of us to make our way through life, we must be wary of our temper taking over our good sense. It's natural that Alice is feeling out of sorts. It's natural. The reason why you're feeling out of sorts is because the world is out of sorts and it's not designed in such a way to benefit the good of everybody. It's designed to make you mad or upset you or to take your power away. You know, like if somebody harms you intentionally and does something to undermine your life and to destroy things for you, to make you like upset intentionally, you can be mad. You wouldn't be mad if somebody intentionally comes along to hurt you. It's upsetting. It's a valid reason to be mad. But that anger doesn't need to turn into destruction of yourself or of other people. She is contending with the uncertainty of her size and the loss of the sense of self she has relied upon all her young life. She needs help, but to get help, she must be patient with the caterpillar's slowness. The Cheshire Cat's nonsense, a rabbit that doesn't see her for who she is, and even more curiousness. If Alice reacts and grows angry at the creatures within Wonderland, she may never make her way through to the other side. That's why it's important to learn how to control your own consciousness. Right? Otherwise, you get stuck in Wonderland and you get lost and then you don't know who you are anymore, and that's not fun. Right? So Alice's whole trip through Wonderland is about self-discovery and self-empowerment. This is that rising above, or learning to vibrate at a higher consciousness and being able to look behind the curtains and being able to discern the function of behavior. And it's not that, I'm mad at this person, I wish harm on her, no, that's not even close. This is understanding the function of that behavior and understanding why somebody would want to try and take my power away from me. And the irony is that's where I found my confidence, like she said I would. But I won't credit her that. I'm crediting my shaman for that one because it took the multiple reboots to get there. With the irony, right? Makes me want to cry because I asked my anger hurt your name and it's grief. And I'm not mad. I don't wish harm. I grieve the loss of what could have been a really good friendship. I grieve the loss of connection. Grieving. There was nothing solid to hold on to. Sad. It breaks my heart. And I think hurt people. And so this person is probably hurting about something that had absolutely nothing to do with me or him or whatever. And okay, so it is. So it was. I can radically accept that. And again, extend prayer and extend peace while also maintaining firm, solid boundaries and being able to speak my truth. These are the type of people that aren't going to admit their wrongs or admit their faults. Ironically enough, because I can think of two other women in my life who have done something similar. All three of them were Libras. And Libras are supposed to be about balance and justice. I'm a Taurus. And we're both ruled by Venus. We're both ruled by love. Right? That's the foundation of our energy is love. What I think is funny, and I can say this because I'm a Libra rising. Well, I'm Cuspy rising too. I'm Cuspy of Scorpio rising and Libra rising, but Libra rising and Sun, I'm Cuspy between Taurus and Gemini. So I'm pretty good at living in two different worlds, which is funny because I have this other book down here, Dweller on Two Planets. I'll pull out of that before we leave. So I'm pretty good at being in two places at once and finding balance. And something kind of funny I've noticed through my life with me and Libras, we get along to a certain extent. Libras do this funny thing where they balance things out for themselves, so they tend to always be loving, peaceful, and come across as pretty balanced. They balance things out for themselves, so they feel balanced inside, and then they project or they assume that the people outside of them also are at that level of balance. But I'm a Taurus, right? I'm pretty stubborn, and I'm pretty locked into my ideologies. And so when I notice that something they're doing is imbalanced for me, or I point out to them, hey, I have a tendency to, with my belief systems, do this and kind of throw off that Libra energy and kind of unnerve them. Every single Libra female I can think of in my life has betrayed me or talked shit about me behind my back in one way or another. It's okay. I see you. I see through you. It's not going to change my mind or my opinions about things. I'm pretty good at this. Where are we? The growing process just takes a little while. Okay, this is not to say that anger is wrong or unnatural, but when we are seeking the help of others, it is best not to get angry if they do things a little differently. Don't be mad at me because I'm doing it differently. Like, is something, like, am I unnerving something in you right now? I'm not in control of your consciousness. That's your responsibility, not mine. But when we are seeking the help of others, it is best not to get angry if they do things a little differently. Right? I can't be mad at these people. I can't. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Right? People get mad at me all the time because they do things differently, especially in relationships. It's just it's fine. Acknowledge your irritation quietly to yourself. Do not deny your response, but know it is important for you to continue to find ways to communicate with those about you. With those about you. Growing angry with them would serve no purpose at all except to make you more lost and isolated than ever. Yeah. Taking this moment to suddenly acknowledge stuff. So the upright side of this. We'll look into a dweller on 2 planets. Close up the space for today. Being pushed, running out of patience, feeling like the people about you are not cooperative, evasive companions and bothersome circumstances, the need to keep your temper cool and in check. Remind yourself you will go farther when you harness your power and use it in the right time. Which is, by the way, not right now. I think it is very important when we are angry about something to take our time to process it. Like I said, this happened years ago. I put a lot of thought into this, and then put a lot of restraint into this. And I say this because it's relevant to what you're going through, or what we're going through here. So that you know and you understand that the crazy making behaviors of other people are not your fault or your responsibility. Your anger is justified, but justified anger is not an excuse to intentionally harm another person or to be unethical. It's No ifs, ands, buts, excuses. You can't convince me otherwise. So the reverse side of this. Unleashing. Saying whatever you wish. Lashing out. Expressing anger and frustration. Heated conversations. An unwillingness to remain calm. Notice this as an unwillingness to remain calm. As an autistic person, my will, my drive is to stay, and even as a Taurus, right, like freaking peaceful, is to be in a state of peace, calm. So I know within myself, because I am not willing to unleash destruction when I do get mad and I do get pushed to that point of anger and being really upset. I know that something needs to be changed, something is wrong. That if somebody has gotten me to that point, they really had to push me there. One of the Taurus traits, and something that I've always identified with, is it takes a lot to piss me off. It really does. I've got a pretty high tolerance for bullshit and stupidity and pain. And I don't want to say that I will continue, but I've had a tendency to give people multiple chances and to allow people to get away with things that make me upset the first few times. And I've learned that they will continue to push and 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 push until they get the reaction that they want. But I will give warnings, and I do. I give warnings. I let people know, hey, don't keep doing that. And those warnings escalate. Hey, I said stop. Fucking said knock it off. And then that intensity elevates in an attempt to prevent them or stop them from hurting me. But if they keep doing it and they keep doing it and they keep doing it to the point where I snap or I get mad or I get pissed off, for me, that's the end. I'm done. You've been warned time and time again. I've told you over and over and over again, and you're not respecting that, so I'm done. There's no going back, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's me. That's a boundary I have for myself, for my own health, my own wellness, and my own being. And I'm getting a lot better at acknowledging the things that anger me right off the bat and having a zero tolerance policy for bullshit. This whole 3 strikes you're out thing. I was a softball player for many years and very good softball player. 3 strikes you're out, you get 3 chances. And I've applied that logic to relationships, all sorts of relationships. And that's never worked out for me in the long run. It's depleted my energy, it's depleted my resources, it's depleted me physically. I am at a point where I can't afford to do that anymore. And so I've implemented the new rule: 1 strike, you're out. Zero tolerance policy for bullshit. And we're doing the ethical preparation. That means if right out the gate, you're not going to be ethical and you're going to come up into the space with bullshit. That's not the work I'm doing. That's not the energy that I want around my space. I want to work with and have relationships with people who are responsible and who are ethically prepared, so that we can get to a space of joy and peace. Like Ferdinand the Bull, right? The bull, the Taurus. Give me a grassy field with a tree and some flowers and just room to roam. I'm a happy camper. I am peaceful as all get out. That is my happy place. But if you try to contain me inside of a china shop, or if you try to box me into delicate ideologies and concepts, and I get stung, or I get hurt, things get destroyed. Why would you put a bull in a china shop? In the story, I think he wanders in there by himself, and then the bee accidentally stings him or whatever. So, like, these are, again, natural, archetypical. I'm not the only one. Everyone in some form, shape, or another can relate. I get that. The reverse side of this is believing that aggression will create a breakthrough. It won't. If you want to try and get somebody to see your side of things, or if you want to try to bring them over to like your side of the path, we had here earlier, try to get them over onto the good side, you are not going to do that by calling them names. You are not going to do that by attacking their character and threatening their security. You're just not. If you're going to be calling names, making threats, and undermining a person and intentionally trying to make somebody feel bad, to try and break through to them, it's not going to work. It's just not. That's how you get people to shut down. That's how you get people to get defensive. And when they get defensive, they have a tendency to be offensive as well, and they fight back. And you create a battle and you create a war zone, and it's not productive. That's not conducive to building a peaceful society. And you know it. I don't need to tell you that, but I do need to tell you that because you know it, yet aren't integrating it. Or they. But all of us go through this or experience this on some level or another. Feeling entitled to express emotions without a thought for consequences. Do I need to say more? I don't think I do. I was gonna pull. Oh, it's on the floor. I was gonna pull out the peace book. I was like, oh no, 12 around 2 planets. Practicing the art of mindfulness. Both are relative. I told you to pull out of both of them, so I'm going to. I would like to make this shorter or more concise, but that's just not gonna happen. And that's okay. This is having to be patient with me in this space too, because there's lots to talk about, and it's time to talk sense. I'm gonna talk sense into things, in these very complex systems. It's going to take some time to pick through everything. There's not like a quick clear all. I don't know which one to do first. I need to relieve myself of coffee. And these diuretics, I tell you. I also have water. I'm trying to drink more water. It's salt water with lime. Salt and lime. Salt is a really good cleanser. I love salty lime water in the morning. It's the greatest way to start the day. And I do my best to drink that first before going into coffee. But I've got a pretty bad habit of doing like coffee. Then like coffee. Until I'm like, oh yeah, I'm dehydrated. Okay, we'll just use this. Which one's first? We'll do it on 2 planets. Okay. Give me a stop. Chapter 18. Le Grand Voyage. The Grand Voyage. There is within this book a lot of, let's say, words in babble. Some, or like names in babble. So I'm trying to pick out the points. I was vastly surprised, yet felt that I might accept, and in conducting the affairs of that country, render good service. Ethical preparation. But the fact that I was yet an undergraduate, the fact that he's not prepared, made me hesitate. Conscious control. Okay. At last I spoke, saying, think about it. Put some thought into this before expressing yourself. Okay, this is not a time to be impulsive. You need to be conscientious. Okay? I am sensible thou hast done thy servant a great honor. Nevertheless, my liege, feeling that I have not thus far acquired the full knowledge I desire, being it but I can't say that. I ask thy permission to refuse the office. If you're not ready, say so. If you're not responsible enough to be in a position of authority or power, say so. Otherwise, you're being unethical. Watson smiled and said, even so. But the governor thou did appoint shall execute thy duties for the 3 years intervening. The 4 years, I would say, since I would not that thou shouldst study at all this year, and therefore thou shalt legally assume active duties. You don't have to be literate to be successful in business. Money does not equal intelligence, just as much as sex and love aren't the same. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're smart. Or ethical, for that matter. I have an object in this besides mere form. We're talking about solidification, right? I believe that that man who hath an object, a direct goal in view, is more likely to win success than one without. Concentrate and be focused and know where you're going. This is like life purpose, on a mission to serve and do good for others, not just like going about life unconsciously participating in a broken system. It is a good stimulus. I do therefore appoint thee suzerain over Suvernus, and dismiss thee to thy journey of pleasurable recreation with thy friends as soon as thou shalt sign thy name to this document. What's making the deal with the devil? And we talked about that on the last one too, because we are at this crossroads and you need to be very mindful about the opportunities that are being presented to you right now, because things aren't what they seem to be. Ethical preparation. If you're not ethically prepared, you're going to be thrown off course. So do the preparation. Like, be prepared. You'll be okay. That is well written, though thy hand shakes a little because of thy nervousness. Be calm. Okay, I'm gonna be calm. It's very important when you, that's right, speaking to this anger card too, and being able to contain, or at least like keep your temper and balance that out, and be consciously aware of mitigating your emotional frequency. Right, each emotion is an emotional frequency, so you need to mitigate that for peace. Let's go into peace. Right? Practicing the art of mindful living, not tongue. Okay, we'll do this one. This is about angry too. That's interesting. Okay, I opened up to page 66 and also chapter 7, which is page 73. And 7 and 3s are some of my favorite numbers. And I like 7 and 3s. Oh, yesterday on my way home, like when I was having this like premeditative thought of, oh, do I go into coffee with Kelsey today or not? And I was coming back from the park because I was going to do it at the park, but didn't have good enough service or good enough connection to be able to do it, and not enough battery. So I decided to come home, and then coming home, so I'll just go home and then I'll do it here. But like as soon as I turned the corner and I had this aha moment, like the time 11:34 popped on the clock, and I had this dream a long time ago, where it was just like and the number 11:34 popped up on the digital clock. What does that even mean, right? So I started researching the metaphysical meanings and symbolic properties of each of the numbers of 1, 11, 3, 7, 73, and or 34, 34, right, and then 7. And so if you put the numbers together, 3 and 4 is 7, and 7 times 11 is 77, right, if we're doing the inversion of this. And then you get 3, 7, so you have 3, 7, 7, 7. One of my journals somewhere, I've got like pages and pages and pages of like the number sequencing that got me here. And so I look up the number, 11 is Archangel Michael, for one. Then I look up the number 3777. There's an entire Wikipedia page on it, having to do with vigilante justice and doing things a little bit differently. And it was so poignant at that phase of my life, or I decided to get it tattooed on me. And I got it about the time that I had separated myself from my maternal family, as a reminder to always put justice first, and that in this fight or in this striving towards justice, there's a knowing and an understanding that that means that I would have to step out on my own and be independent of the system that was oppressing me. But ironically enough, I mean, we're kind of locked into the system together here, aren't we? So here on 66, it says we can use this piece note, and it's got date, time, year. Like show you the format of that. So tool for you. Here's another tool for you. This morning, afternoon, you did something that made me very angry. I suffered very much. I want you to know this. You said, did, ... fill in the blank. Please let us both look at what you said or did and examine the matter together in a calm and open manner this Friday evening. Yours, not very happy right now. Insert name. There's been a couple of times that I've approached people with this method, not verbatim, or not necessarily out of this book. And it's been in my experience that when you try to address somebody this way, I wouldn't say confront, you try to address somebody this way, they're probably not going to write you back. They're not going to want to take accountability for what made you mad. They're going to want to dissociate, dismiss, and disconnect. They would rather discard the connection than take an opportunity to grow and learn and heal. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't reach out and try and to have your point known and made. I'm debating whether or not to post it about this or to talk about this further. No, it's not relevant here. Okay, so love in action. In the Mahabharata Kuta, sorry, the sutra, Mahabharata Kuta, Mahabharata Kuta, Yoga Sutra. It says that when one bodhisattva gets angry at another bodhisattva, funny how anger comes up again, huh? Countless obstacles are set up everywhere in the universe. So you're just going to get mad at somebody, you're just going to create obstacles, or just obstacles are going to be presented to you because you're not in a state of peace. And that's kind of the natural state of things. Is it possible for a bodhisattva to get angry? Of course it is. A bodhisattva doesn't have to be perfect. Anyone who is aware of what is happening and tries to wake up other people is a bodhisattva. We are all bodhisattvas doing our best. Along the way, we may feel angry or frustrated from time to time. That is why we have to practice according to the peace treaty. Practice, 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 practice. When a bodhisattva gets angry at another bodhisattva, countless obstacles are set up everywhere in the universe. That's understandable. We know that when we have peace and joy in ourselves, our peace and joy vibrate throughout the cosmos. So when we have hatred and anger in ourselves, they too will rebound to all quarters. When President Bush gave the order to attack Iraq, many of us suffered at the same time. I think this is absolutely relevant to what's going on politically right now too, if not tenfold. I was at Plum Village giving a lecture to the Advaita Sutra, and in the middle of a sentence I suddenly said, I don't think I will go to America this spring. I really don't want to go there now. We all paused for a long moment to breathe. And then I resumed the lecture. That afternoon, during a tea meditation, a number of students from North America told me that because I felt that way, I should go. They reminded me that friends in the US had been working hard to organize retreats there, and they helped me see that many Americans also suffered when the president gave the order to attack. So I decided to go in order to support them and share their suffering. Okay. For the sake of a moment, let's breathe and kind of sink this, because I think this is where some people are going to become reactive and triggered. Okay? Peace. We're controlling our consciousness and not controlling others. I understood that President Bush is a bodhisattva trying in his way to serve his people. Early in the conflict, he instituted an embargo, but because we did not encourage him enough, he became impatient, and suddenly war was inevitable. When he ordered the ground attack and said, "God bless the United States of America," I knew that Bodhisattva needed our help. Any leader needs our help and our understanding. We must use intelligent and loving language so he will listen to us. This name calling thing is fucking bullshit. Stop it. Just stop it. Restrain yourself, right? Like, keep that temper inside. You can't take those words back. Once you say them, you can't take that hurt back once you've thrown it out there. Words are vibrations. Those type of vibrations just brings everybody down and defeats the purpose that creates war. You don't want to be in war, so why are you warring with other people? Stop it. Quit calling people names. When we get angry, we cannot do that. I listened to my American friends in Plum Village quietly and serenely, and I accepted their advice to go. If we get angry, countless obstacles will be set up, blocking our way. So without anger, we have to find a way to tell the president that God cannot bless one country against another. He must learn to pray better than that. But we should not think that simply by electing another president, the situation will be transformed. Right? We're being shown the same story over and over and over and over and over again, and we're putting all of the onus and all of the impetus onto one person instead of taking accountability and responsibility for ourselves and leading by example, right? And being the change you wish to see in the world. Put all that pressure and all that whatever power onto one other person, and then where's your power? Where's your power as the citizen? The leaders work for us. We don't work for the leaders. Confirmation. Midday break is here. That's what that is telling me. So I'll wrap this up and then we'll go. If we want a better government, we have to begin by changing our own consciousness and our own way of life. Our society is ruled by greed and violence. The way to help our country and our president is by transforming the greed and violence in ourselves and working to transform society. Here's a breath. Jump in and breathe. And I'm going to close this out for the day. Thank you for being here. If you want to support me, you can through Venmo. That would be awesome. I'm going to be updating my fundraiser after this later today. I am in a position financially where I really could use your help right now. Let's breathe again. Put links and stuff in this comment feed too if you feel called for. You don't have to. Let's again. All right, thanks for showing up in the space. We'll probably be back here tomorrow. If you have questions, comments, anything, reach out to me. If you want a private reading or one-on-one, reach out to me. If you want to have a conversation about anything, reach out to me. No judgment. I'll work with you wherever you're at. However, this is important. This is really, really important. Thanks.